Hello everybody, welcome to Sashakt Empowering Lives. My name is Rajni and I am an autism coach. Today we are going to be talking about understanding autism spectrum disorder. Basically, autism spectrum disorder, as the word says, it's a spectrum disorder. So it is, in fact, I as a person don't like to call it disorder because it's absolutely workable all along the way. Autism spectrum means no two children on the autism spectrum will be the same. So one will show one set of symptoms whereas another child will show another set of symptoms. So when we talk about autism spectrum, especially today's session is dedicated to the new parents, those who've been given a diagnosis. So they come to me very scared. What is this? What is autism spectrum? We have been told your child is on the spectrum. How to get the kid off the spectrum? Such kind of questions. Then the older parents also come. They say, my child does behaviors. Why does my child do behaviors? How do I develop the language? Why my child is not playing with other children? So all of these clusters of questions are related to the autism spectrum. So basically, let us understand the autism spectrum. What happens is, when a child that has been growing typically, let's say till the age of 2 years, suddenly begins to show certain symptoms, that is called regressive autism, where the growth was happening fine and suddenly the child begins to show certain symptoms by the age of 2 years or 2.5 years. And we get to see that if the child was talking, now stops to talk. If the child was making eye contact and smiling, now the child is not smiling. And all of these symptoms begin to show up. The other kind of autism is the progressive autism, where you see a very distinct lag starting from first day. So if there are twins in a family, one of them is a neurotypical, the other one is a neurodiverse. So the neurotypical will show a certain specific speed. When I say neurotypical, it means a certain speed of growth, whereas the neurodiverse or the kid on the autism spectrum shows a slightly slower speed. The base behind everything is a lack of incidental learning, which means when a kid is on the spectrum, when a kid is having autism, the incidental learning, which means learning from the environment by looking around, absorbing the information, that is less. Because of that, the following areas get severely impacted. Number one, as age progresses, the child is not able to make proper sentences. Before that, the child is not able to come up with the proper articulation of speech, which means that the child is not able to speak properly. Sometimes the child is totally mute. So parents say, "Mera bachcha bolta nahi hai, my child doesn't talk." At other times, the child is talking, but then is not talking like another child his age or her age. So there is a very clear-cut gap. Now what happens is, when a child is not able to communicate well, that builds in a lot of frustration. Because of that frustration, the child has to communicate, has to tell the parent. The child wants something or doesn't want something, they find a way of getting it by getting aggressive. So they will throw something, they will probably bite, shout, hit, push, something they will do which is not appropriate. When that happens, we as parents, we freak out. Oh my God, why is my kid banging head? And then we immediately realize, oh, my kid wants a candy. So we give the candy. And what happens is, the child learns that the standard way of communicating with your parent, if you want something, is to bang head. So when a child bangs head and keeps on getting the reward for which the child was doing, that habit crystallizes, and now the child is furthermore not going to use speech and only bang head or bite or spit to get what they want. In a nutshell, explaining autism spectrum, I wouldn't like to say disorders, but autism spectrum is that the developmental speed is less. The developmental delays that set in, because of the fact that there are developmental delays, the speech and communication area is not coming up well in time. The child gets frustrated. Because of that, the behaviors come in. Lack of speech and language results in the child not knowing how to play with other children. So the child is going to the park and probably pushing other kids or doing something inappropriate, and then kids team up and they don't want to play with the kid. And we as parents feel alienated. Now, these are the primary manifestations of autism as we see. Beyond this, there are a couple more that we see. Let me bring those to your highlight. Number one, they don't give eye contact. So first thing that doctors do is they go do a Bera test. They get the ears of the kid tested. Each one of you, if you've got a diagnosis, if you're watching me and you've got a diagnosis, first thing that would have happened is the doctor would have done a Bera test. That is the hearing test. Because when you're calling the kid, there is no joint attention. They're not turning around and looking. When a parent is calling, they're not turning around and looking. So it is suspected whether the child can hear or not. So when they can hear, that having cleared, now the doctor knows that it is a developmental delay and it is amounting to the spectrum condition. Okay. So the second one is they don't respond to their name. They don't, when you call them, they don't follow instructions. They continue to live in a world of their own. They continue to keep doing one thing atypically. So suppose they have a cap of a bottle. So they'll keep on rolling the cap of the bottle. Just doing that. So they are in a world of their own. So what happens is the condition further compounds because they are not looking at the environment around and not perceiving the information and not gaining from it. All of this leads to the child's lack of ability in conducting day-to-day activities also. So they are not brushing on their own or washing hands on their own. So the lag is set very early on. Parents continue to help the child thinking as the child grows up, the child will learn. Eventually what happens is the child is full of behaviors, the child is not having enough language, the child is not doing their things on their own, and we begin to call it a disorder. In a nutshell, if we say autism spectrum is basically a lack of incidental learning which results in a myriad of conditions that lead to the quality of life of the parents as well as the child being not what it should be, not happy. In the next video, we will talk about how we can bring positive, significant changes and how we can parent our kid with autism very well. Until then, keep believing in your child and continue working hard with the child using autism specific teaching techniques. So before going any forward, if you have still not subscribed to the channel, go right ahead and press the subscribe button. If you like the content, give us a like and press the notification so you don't miss any further videos from us.